We'll call the meeting to order. All right. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Campbell.
Here.
Dempsey.
Here.
Fournier.
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
Crop.
Here.
Menser.
Here.
Voorhees.
Here.
Moving on to announcements, acknowledgements, communications, and reports. This evening, we are going to have a budget presentation from Mr. McGrill from the 41B District Court. If you want to, first we'll hand it over to Mr. Shipman. You can read our letter, and then we'll hand it over to Mr. McGrill.
I won't read it all for you, but welcome tonight. 41B District Court Administrator McGrail is joining us tonight, and he wants to go over the proposed court budget, and he's here to answer any questions you have. So, Mr. McGrail, please take it away.
Thank you for having me, first off. It's always a pleasure when I get to make the rounds this time of year and I get to see the different boards. We have submitted the budget to the board. Obviously, my main issue here is to answer any questions that you may have. We have presented a balanced budget. The biggest unknown, the biggest caveat to that is the last couple of months we have seen a significant drop in our caseload from tickets, mainly attributed to Clinton Township, and that's an unknown. So I can't sit here and promise, and I think my finance director did a very good job of spelling that out in a letter, that is an unknown, that we may have to seek a budget amendment at some point because of that. But at the same time, we are working with Clinton Township. They're going to do some things to try to boost that caseload back up. So with that, I guess I'd open it up to the floor if you have any questions for me regarding the budget.
Good thing that's Clinton Township, but not Mount Clinton.
Do not drive. That's a good report. Good report.
Thank you.
I think we just want to pay attention to what the issue will be is the cash flow, and the cash flow can be an issue in March of 2023 when the debt payment for the 41B bond is due. And so obviously in the agreement of all of the communities, it spells out when there's a surplus, how that's divided amongst the communities, and when there is a debt to be paid, how that is divided amongst the communities. And so we may be on the hook for that share. It's looking probable at this point.
It all depends on caseload, again. You know, right now, this time of year is normally when we have the extra revenue coming in to help make that bond payment in March. Obviously, we're not going to make it a surprise to any of the communities if that does look like it is inevitable. So I'm sure we'll be keeping the court counsel apprised, which I presume Mayor Kropp is keeping the rest of your commission apprised as well regarding all the issues.
So does anybody have any questions or comments?
If it's primarily Clinton Township that is responsible for the shortfall, and you say you're working with Clinton Township to make up that, is this the lack of writing tickets? Is this the
It's an overall caseload, but the primary is the traffic tickets are down significantly. And then whenever you have a decrease in traffic tickets, you generally have a corresponding decrease in criminal tickets or criminal arrests. Oftentimes, the arrest starts out as a traffic ticket and then moves on to another infraction. But it's definitely the caseload has decreased over the last several months.
And yet, the incident rate has not decreased. Okay, so I'm assuming Clinton Township is looking into the disparity there?
They are definitely looking at different things. I think my understanding, they've had several large ticket writers that have recently retired. They're trying to institute a traffic bureau, which the last time they had a traffic bureau, this predates my time as the court administrator. But I'm sure those of you who have been around realize that was a huge hit to the budget back then when they got rid of that. So hopefully getting that back will be a benefit. But unfortunately, those are unknowns that I can't promise anything before you tonight as the commission members.
Okay, and I'm looking at, over here under other funds, you were talking about the retiree healthcare fund, and it says that here that the market has taken an unfavorable turn and the fund is experiencing losses with no interest budgeted in 2022.
So every year when we go through our audit process, we do have to get the audit of the healthcare fund. Our audit this year, which was done in, I believe it's normally done in May, so it's just a couple months old, our healthcare retiree fund was doing in great shape. Obviously, there's been some losses since then that we kind of need to wait until we go to redo that audit come this spring.
And you'll take you'll take that out of the general fund?
Correct.
Okay. And do you have any, I know it's probably a irritating question, but do you have any idea what level of support from our community you're looking at based on the caseload levels?
If the caseload were to stay the same that it is right now, it would be roughly a shortfall of about 400 total, 400 to 500,000 total. There's a pursuant to the intergovernmental agreement that the communities have entered into. There's a split based on a 5-year average of the caseload as far as how that would be done. Last time I looked at it, I want to say Mount Clemens might have been roughly 17%, 14%.
Yeah,
That sounds
I'd say it's
about right.
Less than 20.
So if it is Clinton Township that is causing the shortfall, you can't allocate? There's no-
Obviously, I would suggest you lean on your city attorney for that, but this was an agreement that was entered into much earlier on with the idea that, hey, when times are good, they're good, and when they're bad, they're bad. Obviously, I would never step on Mr. Murray's toes, though, for giving any legal advice.
Oh, so many.
I think.
And
he's
if
the
I'm not
author of the
mistaken, I think
agreement,
Mr.
too.
Murray was actually one of the lead attorneys drafting the
Yeah.
agreement, so he's probably a perfect person to ask those questions.
Well, they would pay, Clinton has 72%
Yeah.
of any excess and any deficit, so. And 2 years ago, I believe, we had a meeting over at work.
Yes, we did, where we had to remind Clinton of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
So-
they would be, if there is a deficit, that's how it would be allocated.
Correct.
So if you're looking at a deficit, let's just say of $400,000, our 14% would be a $56,000 payment from us.
Potentially, yes. Obviously, our hope, quite honestly, is that the caseload comes back, that we're not asking for a dime from anyone. The biggest downside when you're operating a court is we don't have the ability to create our business. It's all based on the caseload that comes through for us to assess the fines and the costs on that. There's some other issues out there that there's currently a case pending in the Michigan Supreme Court as to whether or not the funding mechanism for district courts in particular is constitutional. I think every indication we're hearing is that's going to be ruled on sometime shortly. And I think the overwhelming belief of what that opinion will be is that it is deemed unconstitutional and that we're actually going to end up being a cost to the state if there is a cost. Obviously, that requires the justices to vote, but for those who have followed the oral arguments, I think it will be any time now. Unfortunately, when I say any time, I've been saying any day now for 2 months, and it still hasn't come down.
And can you mention the mechanism that has been, or well, not a mechanism, but the argument or what people have been making sure will be included in such arguments or legislation that the bond payments would be not stuck to the community?
Prior to even me, because I've been the court administrator for, I think, 5.5, 6 years now. Prior to even me being the court administrator, there was a trial court funding commission that was created up in Lansing, kind of addressing some of these issues that this isn't necessarily the right way to fund courts, that it should be a state issue. So it's not a new issue that's pending before the Supreme Court. I know when I first started, I was reached out by several individuals that were on that commission. One in particular was a local attorney, former president of our bar association, to get my thoughts. And my biggest worry with that was obviously the communities have signed on to a bond payment. And we need to make sure, I don't think Mount Clemens has always, the monies that we've brought back, it hasn't made a huge, pot for you, okay? But at the same time, we don't want to be a cost to the communities, is our number one goal. But we have raised that issue that we need to make sure that those bond payments are protected, that you're not on the hook for bond payments if there isn't a potential of a revenue stream there. I think that's what you're
Definitely,
referring to.
definitely, because that was my first question when you said that the state could possibly start paying for the court, but then, of course, they take the revenue from the court as well, right?
They would take the
So-
revenue, but we have asked them to keep that in mind, to protect those capital payments. Our bond payment for the court, we have a beautiful court. Anybody who's been over there realizes we have a beautiful court. It's roughly about $1 million a year for that bond payment.
And I don't know so forgive me if this is a bad question, but
No
is
such
there,
thing.
is there a way to increase the fees and fines?
Well, that kind of gets to the constitutionality of why they're even arguing that we are being unconstitutional. Is that it shouldn't go on the backs of all the defendants. If you look at our fines and costs, actually, we are by far the highest assessed fines and costs if you go to any of the other district courts within the county. And that's kind of intertwined in the argument as to why it's unconstitutional, quite honestly. Now, if you recall, 2 years ago during COVID, we had a shortfall that we were able to weather through the improvement fund, the rainy day fund. And we did increase it a little bit there. That wouldn't be egregious. But we're really kind of at the top end of what we truly can do for those fines and costs.
And
Okay.
district courts have traditionally basically been moneymakers for the control units. That circuit court, you could have a defendant convicted of B&E, and the fine assessed to him might be
$45.
Yeah, $50. Where in district court, it's all about fines. Drunk drivings are $1,500, $2,000, and it's always been that way. A lot of district courts, the funding unit is just one municipality, and here we have three, are the funding units. If the state takes over, it would be like circuit court in terms of they're not in it to make any money. Where here, the district courts really are forced to maximize fines and penalties. It was the same way before we built the building. There was still a great pressure by the funding unit to come up with money, where on the county level, circuit court, there is no such pressure.
Does anybody have any further questions at this time? All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. McGrail. We'll be voting a little bit later into the agenda, but we appreciate you coming out.
The one thing that I would express to everyone, I will always answer phone calls. So if you guys ever do have a question, even if it's after this meeting, whatever it may be, always feel free to call me about any issue. So, thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, we'll move on to adoption of agenda.
Mayor Crop, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Support.
Any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Okay, this is the portion of the meeting where we invite the public to address the commission. All that we ask is that you give us your full name, your residential address, and you abide by our 3-minute rule. First, we will address those who are in person, and then we will go to Zoom. Is there anyone in person who would like to address the commission?
My name is Earl Stilson, 24400 Henry B. Joy. I'd like to speak about the marijuana ordinance that's supposed to be being in court, a lawsuit about the applications and stuff. I'm in favor of it, but what I'm afraid of is you people going to issue a new ordinance and make it as today. And as of today, I do not qualify because after the fact, one of the applicants bought more property to change the property line. It should go back to the original date of June 15th as far as the application. If you're going to go back there and issue 2 licenses to the parties, then it should be back to the 15th as far as the requirements of the 1,500-foot spacing at that time, which not only me, but one other property owner has the same problem. So I don't know what to do, but you got a lawsuit right now going on. I don't need to be involved in another lawsuit. So I'd like to have it settled beforehand, and I think that would be a fair and honorable agreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jason Abro. Address is 5320 Meadow Belt Road, West Bloomfield, Michigan. I'm representing Jars Cannabis. Obviously, we have a vested interest in the city, and my concern as well is the city, the rec ordinance. I don't know where we stand on when the ordinance is going to come in place and when applications are going to be taken. I know there's a litigation pending, and from what I hear, it's solved, and then I know it's not solved. Our corporate counsels reached out to the city attorney. We're willing to help out in any way as far as attorney fees or whatever is needed, but in some way we need to move forward on an ordinance for us to get rec. We also just purchased the Big Boy building next door to us, so we can do a consumption lounge there. So, we have a lot of money invested into the city and want to move forward, so we just want to know where it stands as far as the ordinance. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to Zoom. Okay, nobody on Zoom, so we will move on to approval of, administrative responses to issues or questions.
There were none.
None, okay, we'll move on to approval of minutes.
Motion to approve the October 17th work session and regular city commission meeting minutes. Support.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we will, roll call, please.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to 9A, first reading of rodent control ordinance. Entertain a motion.
I move to approve the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 19.400, rodent control, and set November 21st, 2022 as the date for the second reading and adoption.
Support.
Mr. Shipman?
Yeah, it was a few meetings back, we had a resident address us with a ground feeding problem that was going on in his neighborhood. It was attracting rodents. So we looked at what ordinances we had on hand, and we found that we didn't really have anything that specifically was related to rodent control and ground feeding. So it was a collaboration of community development director along with the code enforcement officers to come up with something that would meet those needs. And what we have before you, we think will do just that. So we'd ask that you approve the introduction and first reading of this ordinance this evening.
Anybody with questions or comments? Commissioner Menzer.
It says here, and to exterminate for rodents with the property owner responsible for all costs. Rodents travel. They go from one house to another. So are we, and they may be, just for an example, they may be living at Commissioner Dempsey's house, but come over into my house and, eat bird food or whatever. So does that mean we both pay for the extermination because they're hanging out at my house, but they live over there?
Well, I think that's going to be, number one, these are extreme cases, and this would be a situation where you had things going on your property that was actually harboring the rodents, whether it could be a wood pile or it could possibly even be a vacant home or some kind of blight condition that's directly related to what's going on in your property.
Like the blight garage that's behind us?
The house behind
Yeah.
us, that's where they all are.
Where they're all hanging out, and you see them running across our yards because they're looking for food, and because the neighbor on the other side of me has dog poop that they don't clear up, and the rats eat that. So if you catch them in my yard, I'm not paying for those bucks. Sorry.
Don't send them my way.
Tell us how you really feel.
Darren, do you have the beep button for?
Sorry.
Well, this isn't going to be, every time there's, a problem, they're not going to automatically, do this and charge it. These are going to be extreme situations where we're not getting compliance. Everybody will be asked to do this on their own.
But wouldn't
if-
it help in that situation? I mean, if there's a resident that has a wood pile back there, or it seems like that would be where the finger would point, right, as the source, and so this could help solve
Sure.
that situation.
Well,
But
then
again, we'd want them to do it on their own, but if they're not going to comply, then that's when we would,
Able
force
to-
this on
There
them.
would be there'd be a complaint by a neighbor, and the neighbor would say, it's that house, look over there at what they're doing. And then code enforcement would go to that house and try to work with the people to eliminate the problem. And if they don't, then that's when, and if it was, as Greg said, if it was super serious, the city probably hire a contractor to go in and exterminate and then charge them for it.
So it could potentially clear up two things. It could, number one, they could be cited for blight because they're harboring a garage that is almost, has almost collapsed. And number two, that almost collapsed garage is harboring, rodents. So that would be two blight citations in one, would it not?
Could be. The garage is gone.
Well, whatever.
It collapsed.
Yeah, it collapsed, so. And I'm also wondering about food and foodstuffs. Include, besides human food, grain and other feed for animals or fowl. We have people that feed the deer, both within the heart of the city and along Clinton River Road. So does this, if they're feeding along the riverfront, what are you going to say about that?
First thing I'd say is don't let the DNR catch you because it's illegal.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can get fined heavily from Department of Natural Resources. So I would not advise that to anybody.
This is rodent control, not deer. Deer and rodent.
It says specifically, Commissioner Campbell, under building, it's 19.401, food and foodstuffs includes, besides human food, grain and other feed for animals or fowl. That's where I got that. Okay.
Well, the title says rodent. That's where I got that.
I don't know, I think I trump you.
Did everybody eat dinner? I think we're hangry.
And so this also says the placing either directly or indirectly of animal or bird feed on the ground is strictly prohibited. That's going to be fun to enforce. Okay.
Well, it is ground feeding, so I mean, they have to address food within the ordinance, I would think, so.
Okay, and this also includes here, the owner of such property is listed on the last tax assessment roll shall be notified of the amount of such costs incurred by the city for pursuant to this ordinance. So what happens in the case of renters that are feeding?
There's still an owner of the property, and the owner is responsible for their tenants.
Okay, so the owner would be cited or fined, and it would be up to them to take care of the situation with the tenant?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right.
I can ask more if you guys want.
I think we're good. If there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and call the roll, please.
Fournier.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crap.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
General Business 9B, 41B District Court 2023 budget. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the 41B District Court 2023 budget.
Support.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I think I asked enough.
Okay, seeing none, call the roll, please.
Hammond. Yes. Crop.
Yes.
Menzer.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, 9C, purchase and payments of invoices.
Move to approve purchases and payment of invoices as presented.
Support. Anybody have any questions or comments? Commissioner Menzer.
I just wanted to make sure that this was for the Champion Power Sweeping, that's the only bidder that we received?
That's correct.
Okay. And so are we going to do this in-house now because we just bought a new power sweeper?
No. It's a whole different machine that he has. It's a lot smaller. It's for the downtown.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So this is awarding him the contract, the same person the contract for the downtown maintenance.
Okay.
The same guy that we all complained about?
Yes. I'm not comfortable with voting for that, so if that's going to stay on here, I am going to vote no.
What would be the process?
Somebody would have to amend their motion to not include that, correct?
And then we reopen the bidding process, or how does
Then we would have to discuss that at another time.
Is this a new contract, or is this just ongoing?
This would be a new contract because his contract
From March
ends
1st
to
November 30th, 2023?
that's when his sweeping begins, so, right, but his contract ends at the end of this month, correct?
Correct.
So we have time.
We do have
before
time.
It would start again.
Have we ever used another contractor before?
We
Not
haven't.
for a long, long time.
Well, it's kind of a moot point if there's no other bidders.
Yeah, I was going to say. no
Well,
one
but we
bid.
only put a bid out for the sweeping part, correct? Is that all he does? Just the sweeping?
Would it be in our best interest to vote yes on this now, and we could change this before the new contract comes in place? Just in case?
What's the worst thing that could happen? We don't have them? I think a lot of
I
our
wouldn't-
downtown businesses
I
who
wouldn't
came.
do that.
You want to table this specific item?
I do.
If
It would
that's
be,
what you want to do, I'd do that before I'd approve it, and then he could say, well, we got a contract.
Right, exactly.
all right, then I make a friendly amendment that in the payment of purchases and payment of invoices, that we table item number 3, Champion Power Sweeping, until further information can be obtained.
I'll second that.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions or comments?
So you have to call a roll on the friendly amendment? Yeah.
I still have to ask for questions or comments, so don't I? Okay, no, hearing none, now we'll go ahead and call the roll.
Crop.
Yes.
Menzer.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Okay, we will move on to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Call the roll, please.
Menzer.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes. City managers report, Mr. Shipman.
The new parking lot was completed at the Carnes Community Center, and it looks great. If you
Yes,
haven't
it
been by there, it really is what was needed. That building really pops over there now. What a difference. Tree planting around the splash pad was completed on Saturday, October 29th. Thank you to everybody that attended and helped with that project. Interviews for the position of firefighter are underway for 2 open positions in the fire department. Applications are being accepted for a full-time rental inspector. For more information, please go to the city website under the employment tab. Mount Clemens will be setting up the 5th annual Tinsel Tour Uptown this year. We can't wait to see the city light up for the holiday season. The packets to sponsor and decorate a tree are available online or through the city manager's office. Thank you to the Mount Clemens Facebook followers who have been completing our online poll to help us determine what amenities park users would like to see added to our parks. To date, the top 5 amenities include disc golf, kayak rentals, outdoor pickleball courts, inclusive playgrounds, and a fitness equipment trail. This year's winners of the annual skeleton competition were first place Bohemian Goat, second place Weirdsville Paperback Writer, and third place the Nest Collaborative. You can see all 3 winning skeletons in this year's Santa Parade. Upcoming events, on Friday, November 18th, will be the 31st Annual Christmas Open House and Tree Lighting. Santa and Mrs. Claus will arrive at 6 p.m. by horse-drawn sleigh. On Santa's cue, the downtown will come aglow with the new holiday lights illuminating even more streets than last year. There will be free horse-drawn trolley rides around town until 9 p.m., along with fun activities for the whole family. And on Saturday, November 19th, the 47th Annual Mount Clemens Santa Parade will be held downtown on Main Street starting at 10 a.m. Roscoe the Clown will be the Grand Marshal and lead the parade down Main Street. Good for Roscoe. Couldn't think of a better person. Everybody loves him. And that's all I got.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Yes, Mayor Croft.
Yes.
I'd like to ask Greg about the 2 vacancies at the fire department. I'm assuming that one of them is the inspector, is that correct?
Yes.
And then what happened with the other one? Did you have somebody leave or retire?
Well, we had hired somebody, and he
Didn't
only
work
lasted
out.
a week.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Perfect.
And had I known that, I probably would not have promoted the inspector quite when I did.
Well, you know, you have to do
Yeah,
it. You have to do what
so-
you have to do at the time.
Yeah.
What is your timetable on filling those 2 positions?
So we have second round of interviews on the 10th of this month, and then they have to go through a psychological evaluation, a physical background check, and we have to have a civil service hearing to certify the list.
Have you had a number of applications?
We have 17, which last round we only had 6, so we're up by 11, so that's
Perfect.
looking better.
Perfect.
And actually, after the first round, I've got at least one that I would probably consider, so.
So the pool is getting bigger.
Pool's bigger than last time.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. We will move on to the second opportunity for the public to address the commission. All that we ask is you give us your your full name, your residential address, and you abide by our 2-minute rule. We'll again go first with in person and then Zoom.
Good evening, Eric Rick, 1689 Hampton Road, Mount Clemens, Michigan. 2 things. One, I request that a estimate is put together for per gallon costs of water for residents if we do either of the plant replacements as well as if we switch over to Great Lakes. I know it's not going to be exact numbers, but if we're going to start talking about this seriously with everyone, we need to know what it's going to cost an average resident, regardless of what it ends up costing the city. Second issue, there is a Veterans Day ceremony, 11/11/11, so 11 o'clock, November 11th at Clinton Grove Cemetery. Everyone is, of course, invited. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay. Anybody on Zoom? Okay. Then we will go ahead and move to commissioner comments. Mr. Campbell, Commissioner Campbell.
I just have one thing. A resident stopped me today regarding cars that are unplated or have been sitting in the street with regards to who's responsible for that. I've talked to the city manager about that, and he'll be looking into that, but they wanted to know that the city manager has been made aware of it, so I have done that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hammond?
Just want to remind everyone that tomorrow's election day and get out and vote.
Thank you. Commissioner Fournier?
Absolutely. Hope everyone votes, and to our city clerk and her staff, good luck, and we know you can do it. There's no question in our minds. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dempsey.
Ditto, talking to the choir here, but vote.
Thank you. Commissioner Voorhees.
Thank you, Mayor Kropp. This coming Friday, of course, is Veterans Day, and we certainly want to thank all our veterans for their service. Eric, I know that you were Navy, so I salute you and thank you again for your service. You're right, tomorrow is Election Day. This election is probably the most important we've had in many years. The decisions that will be made will affect our lives for years. Please, if you haven't already voted, take the time to go to the polls on Tuesday and turn the ballot over and vote both sides, the candidates and the issues. Again, good luck to our city clerk and its staff. They do a great job. I know that every vote in Mount Clemens is counted and accounted for. And I will also reiterate that dead people don't vote in Mount Clemens. So I haven't seen the smart bus go through Clinton Grove and pick up anybody, so I think we're all right. And with that, once a Clemite, always a Clemite.
Thank you. Commissioner Menzer.
We missed that last week. Somebody else said it for you. You know, I really can't add anything. I think Glenn's covered it and everyone else. This election matters. Whether you vote Republican or Democrat or Independent or Green Party, you have to use your voice. You have to give your opinion. And if you don't vote, you have nothing to say about the way the country's being run. You have nothing to say about the programs and policies that are enacted. This election has been very divisive. It has been, I have never seen this much nasty literature full of venom and lies, you know, and really on both sides. It has been shocking, some of the reactions. And in order to stop that, you need to use your voice. You need to vote. Whoever you vote for, it's up to you. But use your voice and vote. Thank you.
Thanks. I want to mention, because I don't think we did in any of your city manager report or anything, but Santa is going to be arriving at 6 for the tree lighting, but you can start getting your Santa passes for the pictures at 5. So I don't want anyone to be disappointed if the passes are gone and you showed up at 6. So show up at 5 and get a pass, because Capture a Moment Photography Studio is going to be doing some great pictures with Santa and whoever you want to bring to have their picture taken. Your children, your fur children, whatever you want. Make your husband, I don't know. So, I also want to mention that I have a coffee talk tomorrow, the 8th, at 9:30 a.m. at John's Family Grill, and then Thursday at 6:30 p.m. at Black Cat Coffee. So come on down and have a cup of coffee and some conversation about things that are happening in Mount Clemens. I also wanted to mention thank you to Macomb County Economic Development and Planning, Tree Beautiful, or no, what was it? What's the planting place? Relief. Geez, I can't even get all these. Relief. The City of Mount Clemens Department of Streets, because they did all of the digging of 10 very large holes for Shady Side Park, and then all of the volunteers that came to a very early Saturday morning planting of several trees in Shady Side. That will be a very beautiful addition to our park. And we had a really cool demonstration by the Relief people, But we also had tremendous amount of fog that we could have, I think, lost people in the park. So I thank everyone for braving the elements and coming out and making sure that those trees were planted. And so that was a really, it was a good way to start the morning. So, and with that, I just want to, of course, reiterate that tomorrow is a big day, and that our clerk, Kathy Martin, and her staff have been working since, I would say, the week after the August primary to make sure that everything goes without any hitches tomorrow. And she has been training staff. They were here again last weekend so that all of our poll workers have the knowledge that they need to make sure that tomorrow goes really smoothly. So thank you again, Kathy. I know it's been said 7 times now, but thank you again. And please thank everyone that's working tomorrow for us. And with that, we will recess for 5 minutes before we go into closed session with the purpose of, where's my, sorry,
Pending
it's not on here.
litigation.
To discuss pending litigation.
Pending litigation in the matter of New Group LLC et al. Versus the City of Mount Clemens.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you in 5 minutes. Go ahead, Mr. Voorhees. Commissioner Voorhees.
Now to come out.
And now I'll move that we come out of session.
Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
Wait.
No, we gotta have a, just gotta make a motion.
Dang.
Move to
Relax.
authorize the city attorney to enter into the consent judgment in the matter of New Group LLC versus City of Mount Clemens upon the terms and conditions presented in closed session.
Support. Let Barb have it.
Oh, Denise, run with it.
No, you're not.
Okay. Are
Barb
we
have
clear
it.
on who's the support?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Kathy,
Oh, go ahead.
can you just add in the minutes the case number?
Okay,
So it's,
Do you have the case number, or do you want?
I have it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Call the roll, please.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Let's go.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good night, everyone. Thank you very much.